Welcome, Mr. Luddle. Okay, the first piece we have to come before us today is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter in a contract or contracts with MS Consultants, Inc. for professional engineering services, Britton Road Reservoir Replacement Project, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of committee, this legislation will allow us to amend the existing contract we have with MS Consultants. They're a design firm here downtown. They did their preliminary design for us on this Britton Road Reservoir years ago. We attempted to apply for stimulus money. Those projects had to be shovel ready, as you remember. We did receive H2 Ohio money back in the day for some lead work and some other city projects. This we were unsuccessful for, so we went back. Through Water Capital, we've kind of been, for lack of a better word, saving to pull this project off. Now that we do have the funds, they're going to complete the rest of the design. They've been working on that for probably about a year now. This is to help pay for the rest of the design, and also during construction they will be the designer of record that will work with us on any addendums. They will do some inspection with our consultants and with our own team as the project moves along. They will provide other assistance as public outreach, and they will work with SHPO because there is another project in this where we are looking to repurpose part of the existing tank and pump house. So they will work with us in that design also. That will be done by MKSK, but they will work to make sure all the documents are in order to bring that project to fruition. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Luddle. Are there any questions by any committee members? Any other council members? Councilman Fusco.
Yeah, how is that going to work with the MKSK and this overall coordination, or?
MS will work with the SHPO and make sure that all the documents are filed correctly that after the design is done by MKSK to repurpose those items.
Thanks, Councilman. Any other council members or committee members? Consent agenda, okay?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion for consent?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for consent, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The next piece to come before us is an ordinance authorizing the mayor as designee to file applications and enter into an agreement or agreements with the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account, WSRLA, with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, OEPA, and with the Ohio Water Development Authority, OWDA, for planning, design, and/or construction of the lead service line replacement program 2025, declaring an emergency. Mr. Luddle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. This WSRLA loan is for $20 million. What these funds will be used for is to comply with the lead copper rule that will be enforced in 2027, November 1. So as we've talked about in the past, we will be lead free with any existing business or residents. We will not have any customer serve the lead line by the end of this year. Now, the other part of the lead copper rule that will be enforced in 2027 is any galvanized line from the lawn strip into the meter has to be replaced by 2027. Akron is so far ahead of the game when it comes to this. We are taking these loan funds, and we have bid 4 contracts recently, which each contractor is going to be awarded about 1,250 of these lines from the lawn strip into the meter. So that means that these 5,000 lines that we have in the city will be removed, restored with copper, and we gave them till the end of next year to get these done. We recently had a meeting with all 4 contractors. We are still holding our goals for our diversified firms very highly, but it is a goal, and they've all committed to meeting our goal with some type of business that meets that criteria. We're very happy with that. But the thing about this loan that we're getting through Ohio is a 40-year, $20 million loan at 0% interest. So we are definitely taking advantage of these loan funds while they're available. So with that, by the end of next year, we really give them 2 years, but after meeting with them, most of them said they will be done within a year and a half. So we're really hoping by the end of '27, there will be no galvanized lines left on private property throughout the city that was once served with a lead line. Just to be clear, there could be some galvanized left in the city on private property, but it was not previously served with a lead line, okay? So lead was used when, a lot of the homes that were constructed in the 20s and 30s did have lead, and then during the war, some of that stopped. The city of Akron made a commitment back in the 60s not to use lead anymore. We've verified that with not only our records, but talking to some old-time plumbers and that build homes back then, that Akron did have that commitment not to use lead in the 60s. So we're very comfortable with our data. Always you could miss one here or there, but one thing that's recently helped is our water meter project. And what we told our contractor that was putting in those meters, document the material coming through the wall and what you were connecting to. Obviously, we had a lot of galvanized, we had a lot of copper, but what we did, we went back and verified, did that have lead previously? And if it did in this project, with these 5,000, that galvanized will be removed and installed with new copper. Now, what's that mean to our residents? That's a huge thing, okay? Because that was always the responsibility of the homeowner. If there was a leak after the sidewalk, in the front yard, in the basement, before the meter, they had to hire a private contractor on their own. We did inspect it and get that replaced. So we figured these are around $3,500 each. And the reason why we got such a decent price on that is because when we bid these contracts, these 4, we kept those contractors in the same neighborhood to limit their mobilization, and they can go from house to house to house. We will be inspecting them, but it is the responsibility of these contractors to not only call in OOPS to mark all the utilities, which is the underground utilities, that's their responsibility, but it is also the responsibility to coordinate with the homeowner, which we all know is sometimes difficult. So they're out there trying to schedule a month ahead of time. You have to have somebody at home. When we come into your house, your water will be off, and it's only that residence who will have a water interruption. It won't be the neighbor on either side or across the street. It'll just be that one particular home that doesn't have any water. And some contractors say they can do 2 a day with 1 crew, and they're bringing in multiple crews to do these. Now, one thing that we all have to be patient for next year is there's a lot of disruption on these streets, but most all this work should be in the lawn strip. So I know we've all had, what is going on with this hole in the street? That is going to be ending this year with our lead replacement project. This loan here is just for private property. So they typically come in, they excavate the water box, we call it. They'll put in a new piece they'll remove the galvanized, put a new piece of copper in. They all 4 told us that this directional drilling method they're using, they're not going to be open cutting the front yard. And then they'll restore it, plant grass, seed and straw, and then they'll be out of there. So it's kind of a long explanation, but it's $20 million. I thought it was important to kind of explain what it's all about.
Thank you, Mr. Lettle, and I have to admit, at the 0%, it's pretty important.
And I forgot one thing, Mr. Bernowski just walked in. This is at 53% principal forgiveness. So out of the 20 million, we get back 53% from Ohio, correct? So 47% is all we're responsible for. So that's another huge selling point. We're taking advantage of this money while it's available. Communities or districts that wait till 27, who knows if this money will be available. So this is a huge thing, getting 53% forgiven. It's over $10 million.
Thank you very much. This is an important project. I know that the city's worked extremely hard on making this happen, and due diligence here as far as the loans. That's great. Are there any questions from any committee members or any other council members? Mr. Fusco.
Thanks. Yeah, Chris, this is outstanding work that you guys put together, this program, and thank goodness back in the 60s the commitments were made on the lead piece.
Absolutely.
My question is basically, do you have mechanisms in place in which, number one, there has to be agreements, right? Signed agreements between the property owner and the city, because we're going to be going on to private property, right?
We don't have signed agreements with them, no. This is
You're just going to, because this is from the house?
This is from the lawn strip into the meter.
Into
So the contractor will call you, Mr. Fusco, and say, listen, we're going to replace your service line up to your meter. We need to schedule a time to get in your house. And then the homeowner says, okay, and they come in. Now, if they do not say okay, then we will call the homeowner and explain to them the benefits of getting this done. Absolutely.
Right.
But no, we don't sign an agreement with every homeowner.
You're not going to,
No.
because some of the work's going to be on private property?
It'll all be on private property.
Right. So
Yep.
I've always been under the understanding that we want to do that in case something goes
No, we don't have signed agreements with them, no.
interesting.
No, it's just like going in their house and changing their meter. We didn't sign a contract with every one
Okay.
of those also.
That's fair.
Yes.
Okay. No, the second question, and that is, how is it you're going to make sure that the ward council representatives are aware where you're going to be and, when the work is going to be going on, so that whenever they get the phone calls and, we're hiring contractors out to do the work, and, sometimes things may happen.
So we're going to do a press release, but what we're going to offer is each council member, we can give them a list of every house that's in their ward, and the contractor will be doing that work. So if they get a call from Mrs. Jones and said, I got a call from, name it, so-and-so plumbing, is this legit?
Yeah.
And they can always call us too to verify at the water department. But yes, because they are coming into their home. We've done quite a few of these already, and knock on wood, it's been very successful.
Good.
Yeah. And if we do get one, sir, another one of a homeowner develops a leak, and it is in the program, and they may not be scheduled for months out or maybe even next year, we will move them up. And we have done that in the program, where we'll go out and we'll see, oh, you have a leak on house line. We will check and see, oh, they fall into our program. Let's move them up and get that done, in the next few days. And we have done that.
Inclusive of trees and so on and so forth, because those come into play obviously
Yes.
often as well.
Yes.
So, no, that's good, as long as that, the council ward folks
Sure.
is going to be aware.
And some wards have a lot more than others. So some of the older parts of the city have quite a few. Why in Kenmore we don't have a lot of lead services? I don't know why. I don't know if they just weren't, going back as far as we can in records, Ellett and Kenmore just didn't have a lot. Now, North Hill did have a lot. Goodyear Heights did have a lot. I think the way those were built, there was quite a few in those neighborhoods.
Good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good questions, Mr. Little, or Mr. Fusco, thank you. Any other questions from any committee or council members? Just one other quick question, Mr. Little. I take it that this is not invasive, as in they're going to have to excavate, or these are going to be driven underground?
They'll excavate on your lawn strip. Okay, so they'll, they may dig, between the sidewalk and the curb, and then they'll excavate a hole where they can get down into the water box, and then they will, either they will work from there to the basement or from the basement out. Some of them have like pipe blasted, they call it, where they'll go right through that galvanized and push something so it follows that trench line, even though it's been there 100 years, and go right through the wall. Then when they get through the wall of copper, they use something called water stop. That's a sealant. They bring it in. A lot of times they'll put a 90, and then they'll go right in. And a lot of these contractors now are using a system called ProPress. It's a fitting that goes on the copper. It's a rigid tool, and it just kind of crimps it right on. So there's not even any open torch or soldering in the house.
That's great. That's good to hear. Thank you. Is consent agenda okay?
Yes.
Could I get a motion for consent?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for consent. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, moving on. The next piece we have is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Ohio Edison without the formality of publicly advertising for bids for the construction and installation of new LED lighting and wood utility poles along Manchester Road, declaring an emergency. Mr. Letto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. Down on Manchester Road, between Wilbeth and Beulah, we have about 33 steel poles. We own those poles, okay? Typically, steel poles, City of Akron owns, wood poles, Ohio Edison owns. Most of you are familiar with what's happened in the last 18 months. We've had a rash of copper theft throughout the city. If you drive around, sometimes you'll see lights on, especially ODOT, on their expressway ramps. They're finding that leaving the lights on is better than someone coming and breaking the handhole and stealing a little bit of copper. So these poles are a little bit different. They're corroded very badly. So we talked to Edison. They're going to upgrade the poles to wood poles, remove the steel poles. That means the ownership here forward will be the responsibility of Ohio Edison. Because what happens now, if we have a traffic accident, someone would hit one of these steel poles, it's the City of Akron's responsibility to replace it at our cost. If there's insurance involved or there's a car accident, a lot of times we will, apply the refund to that insurance company. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. The other thing about this, these are high pressure sodium, which obviously are the yellow, not that bright of a light. These 33 will be upgraded to an LED, which will put a lot more light on that section of Manchester Road. So from Wilbeth, this is, heading towards Summit Lake. This will be a real improvement to that section of roadway.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions from any committee members? Mr. DeShazer.
Just out of curiosity, what's the lifespan of a wooden pole now?
I mean, there's some out there 80, 100 years old. The way they put the creosote in there, they last and last. So, yes, they have gone through recently. Edison did last year, and I think you might have saw a lot of test holes. So they'll go out periodically, maybe every, I don't even know how often, Councilman, I think it's maybe 5 or 10 years. They'll go down and they'll do a test hole just to see if there's any rotting at the bottom of the pole, and if it is, they replace it. But it's got to be 25 to 30 years plus, I would imagine.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. Any other committee members? Any other council members? Councilwoman Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you. This is a portion of road that I get a whole lot of complaints on between the concrete and the lights, and this is going to be a great improvement for the folks in that area, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Consent agenda, okay?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion for consent?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for consent. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have one last piece to come before us. It is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts for the design of a city-owned parking garage Americans with Disability Act, ADA compliance study, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. We find it's very important to keep up with all ADA regulations, especially in our parking decks and garages. So this legislation will allow us to advertise for consultants that have the expertise in ADA law. And once they submit those proposals, we will evaluate them, and then we will pick a consultant or designer to come in and do an evaluation of all our parking garages and access, whether it's walkways, stairs, handrails, parking accessibility. So this study will allow us to get that done. Then after that, we will look at what are the most important needs to bring all this to fruition through all our decks, and then we will obviously have other legislation for you to, whether it's we do it as one package or we do one deck at a time. Probably not sometime into next year before we start the construction, but this will allow us to do that evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Are there any questions from any committee members? Any other council members? Councilwoman Connor.
Subject near and dear to my heart. How do we determine how many handicap parking spaces are in a garage?
It goes by the number of spaces in the garage, I believe, so.
And does that change, like at the Bowery building, does that change based on residents that might be disabled? Because sometimes we allot them by car, but then you get residents who move in, and then they take the ones that are there for visitors. You know what I mean?
I'm going to get back to you because I don't want to say one thing without knowing. You know, if it's a residential, I would assume it has to be more spaces per garage than if it's just, you know, just a retail or if it's a commercial space.
Okay.
But I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilwoman. That's a good question. Any other questions from any council members or committee members? Is consent agenda okay?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion for consent?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second for consent. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will get that on consent. Thanks. Nothing further to come before public service. We will be adjourned.
Our next committee today will be the Public Safety Committee. Those committee members are McKittrick, Kamer, Lombardo, Hannah, and Davis. We'll get started in just a moment here. Thank you. Okay, we're ready to begin the Public Safety Committee. Again, those committee members are McKittrick, Kamer, Lombardo, Hannah, and Davis. We do have all committee members present except for Councilman Kamer. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Viviano. I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee to order. We have previous minutes to approve. If I could get a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the previous minutes. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. All right, we have one piece to come before us today in the regular agenda that was introduced 2 weeks ago. It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor as designee to enter into contract or contracts after requesting and receiving requests for proposals, RFPs, for the purpose of completing a comprehensive review of the Akron Police Department use of force policy and declaring an emergency. We have some folks from the mayor's office today, Esther Thomas and Tony Ingram, and the floor is yours.
President of Council, council members, committee chair, we respectfully ask that the piece of legislation be held for time until next week, and that's our request.
Are there any questions or comments regarding this piece of legislation from anybody on the committee or any other council members? Okay, well, can I get a motion for continued time then?
Motion for time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for time. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We will continue time. We have new legislation to come before the committee today. And the first piece is a resolution approving and confirming the appointment by Akron City Council of Donzella Anuskowitz to the Akron Citizen Police Oversight Board as established by Charter Sector 68A and declaring an emergency. President Somerville?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I first just want to say publicly, just want to thank all of those who applied to fill the vacancy of the Oversight Board. The selection committee did not have an easy job, so again, we want to thank those who applied. I want to thank Councilman McKittrick, Councilman Hanna, Councilman DeSazier, and Councilwoman Connor for serving on our screening committee. We are bringing forth Donzella Anuskowitz before council for a vote. After having much conversation, we thought that it was really important that we did bring back an existing member. We thought that it would be a heavy load to bring on 4 new members to the Oversight Board at the same exact time. That is a lot of coaching, training, bringing them up to speed. And so we decided to bring Donzella back, who was an original appointee to the Oversight Board. She has done much work to really lay the foundation of hiring personnel, creating board policies, and really working on initiatives to bridge the community and the police together. And so we think that she is going to be a good asset moving forward. We also think that she is going to be very helpful in terms of onboarding the also 3 new members to the Oversight Board.
Thank you, Madam President. Any other comments or questions from any committee members or other council members? Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, Councilwoman Amobian has her hand raised.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Amobian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I totally agree with Madam President. You need somebody there with the history of what they've gone through, because this body has gone through a lot, and they have done a lot of good work, I believe. And so I think it's good to have somebody with history. I'm looking at the 4 people. Do they represent different wards? I'm assuming they do.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The chair received a request from Fran Wilson to address, and I'd like to recognize Fran Wilson. Welcome to the podium.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you letting me speak in committee today just as a citizen. I wanted to just highlight 3 questions, if that's okay. And if you can use the microphone here or later through email to answer, that would be great. Thank you. I know I know Crystal Jones is not returning. I read that in an article because of family matters. That's understandable. I think one other person that's not returning is Bob Gippin. I know the Madam President just talked about needing experience. I think I'd be interested in hearing why Bob Gippin isn't returning to the board. I think that's my read of the situation. He's been pretty instrumental in writing the rules, understanding the legalities of the board, and doing a lot of negotiations around, the FOP and the contract items. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about that personally. I think some other folks are interested in that as well. My second point was, I know, there was Kent Boyd came in and gave a public comment for council a couple weeks ago about not being able to be, in the interview processes for council for board appointments. I just wondered, was there any follow-up with that? And was the FOP able to be present during council appointment interviews? And my last one was, I know Councilwoman Amobian just brought it up, the ward breakdowns. I know that was a significant concern last time in 2023. But my calculation looks like council's appointments doubles up on Ward 4, cuts out Ward 8 with Bob Gippin leaving, leaving Ward 2, Ward 6, and Ward 9 maybe without reps still, but that's just my calculation. I have nothing against Juanita. I don't know her personally, but I just wanted to raise those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. We spoke and wanted to bring these members in, so I'm guessing they'll be in next week. So we'd like to go ahead and if we can get a motion for time on number 15 to be able to give an opportunity for this candidate to come before council.
Motion for time.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor for time? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We have another resolution coming before council approving and confirming the appointment by Akron City Council of Juanita Elton to the Akron Citizen Police Oversight Board as established by Charter Section 68A and declaring an emergency. President Somerville?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So our second appointment is Juanita Elton. And the selection committee was really impressed with Juanita. Juanita currently fills a gap that is missing on the oversight board is because she is a Black woman who is a retired police officer. So again, we thought that her background in criminal justice and her balanced approach between police and community would be a really great asset to the board. We also do believe that she's going to be able to bring forth some really good best practices that I think is going to be really helpful for the board moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Somerville. I see Jan Davis has her hand raised.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
All
I
right,
can hear
thank
you.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I stand in support of Dr. Juanita Elton. I've known Dr. Elton for some time now. She's a retired 19-year veteran of the Akron Police Department. She also holds a PhD in public administration from the University of Akron. I've watched her over the years. She's very passionate about the work that she does. And I think that she would definitely be an asset to this particular committee. And I encourage my colleagues, I will not be able to be in City Council tonight, but I do encourage my colleagues to support Ms. Elton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Duly noted. Yes, it was, I have to agree with President Somerville. It was a daunting task to go through all these candidates and make a choice. There's a lot of very good candidates that were available, and I do believe that the two council choices were good, solid choices. Are there any other questions from any committee members or council members? Again, I'd like to give these folks an opportunity to come before we vote next week, if they choose to do so. But I'd like a motion for continued time for next week.
Motion for time.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second for time. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have the next piece to come before us is a resolution approving and confirming the appointment by Mayor Malik of Christopher Weems and Dwayne Krabs to the Akron Citizens Police Oversight Board as established by Charter Section 68A and declaring an emergency. Esther Thomas, would you like to present on that? Or Tony?
Briefly, and then I'll share the mic with my colleague. Respectfully, President, Council, Chair, and members of the committee, after interviewing and reviewing all of the applications, the mayor's office is respectfully submitting these candidates for your consideration for approval. We believe that the breadth of the experience, as well as the knowledge of our local communities and the geographic representation of the candidates provides a wonderful complement to the fine work that the CPOB has done. And I'll pass the mic to my colleague.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Chair. Again, I concur what was said earlier. We had some tremendous candidates, not an easy decision, but the two that we have selected, Mr. Weems is very active in the community. He also serves on the board for the Akron Police Department, so very familiar, very passionate about this issue, and we all felt he would be a huge asset. Pastor Krabs has also been a huge community advocate, retired from our safety forces, and also very passionate about making sure that our safety forces are the best that they can be. So we're excited about these two candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from any committee members or any other council members? Council President Somerville.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to speak again in favor of Mr. Christopher Weems. The committee also had an opportunity to interview him, and we too were very impressed with him and think that he will be a great asset to the board. Also want to speak in favor of Mr. Dwayne Krabs. You know, I think Fran Wilson stood at the mic and said, you know, are all wards represented? We know that, again, there's only 9 seats available, so there's always going to be one ward that is missing. But Ward 3, which is a ward that has very high numbers of interaction between police and community, did not have a seat at the table, right? And so I am glad to see that Mr. Krabs will be representing Ward 3, who has lived in Ward 3 for a very long time and really understands the issues. And I think he's going to be a great asset moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Council President Somerville. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Linda.
Linda Amobian, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if I know Mr. Weems. It sounds familiar, but I do know Mr. Krabs, and I really wholeheartedly support him in any capacity and working with us on any issue with the city. So I'm glad that he's available. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Amobian. Sharon Connor?
Thank you so much. I share President Somerville's frustration a little bit. Ward 10 has not had a representative since the committee started, so we are grateful to Mr. Weems for stepping up and certainly thrilled to have that seat filled by someone from Ward 10.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Fusco.
Thanks. Just curious, what board you mentioned that Mr. Weems is on a board with the police department? What's the name?
I think it's just an advisory board. Chief Harding had mentioned just a citizens advisory board that Mr. Weems sits on as well, just to help get community input in terms of some of the work that they're doing.
And he previously sat on that similar committee under Chief Milet as well.
Very cool. Good, thank you so much, really appreciate it. The, agree with, and share with both Sharon Connor and President Somerville about the representation piece being one that knew someone who was very good and does a good job, but had to vote against just because of the representation piece. We all share that feeling, all of us, I think, in terms of, and I think that's the architects of the original proposal that must be relooked at eventually, hopefully sooner than later, that we do need to have, whatever it takes, to get representation from all sides of the community from Akron. So appreciate that effort 100%. And also wanted to thank, been through these type of things, different levels, but the work that I'm sure the mayor's office went through, as well as my colleagues, that's a lot of work. Knowing that is a lot of work. Whenever it comes to personnel issues, as we all know, we all get a little, flinchy or whatever. It's tough work. It's hard work. And just want to thank you all for all your hard work on that. And hopefully we'll pull out on the other side even better. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fusco. Jan Davis, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Just for clarification, you're going to be inviting these potential candidates to the committee meeting or council meeting to speak?
For next week, it would be nice if all 4 candidates would be able to come into committee to be able to speak in committee.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for that question. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I'd like if you could pass on to your choices that next week in public safety, if they could come in, we'd be appreciative of that. And then we will call for a vote next week. And if we could get a motion for time for now.
So move.
And second.
We have a motion and a second for time. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We have nothing further to come before public safety. We will be adjourned. Thank you very much.
Our final committee meeting today will be the Budget and Finance Committee, and it will begin at 3 o'clock. Those committee members are Lombardo, Amobian, Fusco, Boys, and Bolden. Again, that's the Budget and Finance Committee, and it will begin at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
No.
We're ready to begin the Budget and Finance Committee. Again, those committee members are Lombardo, Amobian, Fusco, Boyes, and Bolden. We do have all committee members present whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Viviano. Ready to call the Budget and Finance meeting to order, and we haven't had a meeting in a couple of weeks, but still, can I get an approval of the last meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We have one ordinance coming before us, and that is a ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Cadenza LLC for the purchase of networking equipment for the city of Akron and the Akron water supply and declaring an emergency. And we have Mr. Fricker here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is an ordinance to replace some of our end-of-life networking equipment. It will be used both, a big portion of it will be used up at the Water Supply Bureau, but then there will also be some switches that are used here in some of the downtown facilities as well. It's about $172,000. If there's any technical questions, we do have Engelbert from our IT department that can answer any of those questions. But it's basically networking equipment that we're replacing some of our older, out of beyond useful life stuff.
Very good, very good. And I see that the budgeted costs were like 100,000, and still you're
Correct.
saying it's under that.
Right.
So that's good. That's good. So I'm sorry, did I miss it? How many years is for? Is it for?
I believe this is just it's a purchase, correct?
The purchase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, with technology. Very good. Any questions from any committee members? Anybody on the Zoom? I do not see any of that. So what would be your pleasure?
And we would like to pass this just based on the timing of when the pricing is available. We would like to pass this tonight if we could.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for a favorable report, suspending the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We'll see that passes
Thank you.
tonight. And thank you for your time. And with that, our finance meeting is adjourned.
That is the final committee meeting of the day. Council will meet in regular session at 6:30. Thank you.